Welcome, guys. This is the first episode of the Compass series that I promised to let you know about more in my LinkedIn and other social media channels. Our first and foremost guest, the well-known Mr. Mishal Kanoo, the chairman of the Kanoo Group. And I would not like to speak a lot about Mr. Mishal because today I would like him to introduce himself. He has a lot of interesting things that he can share, and I'll let him say it in his own words. Thank you, Mr. Mishal, for being our host, the first host.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I hope, inshallah, this will be an educational as well as enjoyable conversation for your audience.
Thank you very much. How would you put, in a nutshell, in a few words, what Mr. Mishal Kanoo has attained in the last many years? I mean, since you have taken leadership, Kanoo Group of 2015, and even before that, in your journey, I mean, what are the biggest milestones that you can share with our audience today?
Well, I've been chairman for longer than that, but the key that I found in everything that I've experienced as a business comes down to one thing. And if you don't understand that, you shouldn't be in business, and that is people. If you understand that every person you interact with is important, every person has a value, and treat them with that. We forget when we interact with people, especially the people who are close to us, we forget to small little things like say thank you or please, and we forget that because we think no, they'll allow it to pass. But these are the people who you should be taking care of the most. And in business, you should be focusing much more on your own employees and people who work with you and people who represent you, and focus on them before you focus on the customers. Because at the end of the day, they are your front face that will interact with businesses, or interact with customers, or interact with suppliers. Forgetting them and taking them for granted is a big mistake a lot of businesses do. And I think one of the things I've learned is give people their due respect, pay attention to them, care about them, and they will care back, and they will pay attention, and they will feel the more attention you give to people, the more you get back in the fold. And this is key, I think, for any business if you want to succeed. And this is one of the most important things I've learned in my journey in business.
That's great. This takes us to a very important theme that I would like to direct this conversation to, which is the theme of aligning our values to life. And I've been following you and seeing how you take your business and your life, and in all the many industries that you are in as Kanoo Group. And I really felt that values is an integral part of your life, and business, be it business or personal. Can you share some insights on how can someone align his values to his life?
So, it's in business you will be faced with many things and many issues which might make you personally feel not happy to continue doing this. And the question is, to what degree are you happy to do something versus and lose money or lose an opportunity because it goes against your moral judgment or goes against something that you feel comfortable with, knowing that you're going to be accountable by other people, whether it's your shareholders, stakeholders, your employees, because if you lose a business, then it might have an effect on people's lives in terms of bonuses and stuff like that. But the question is, what's more important for you? To make money or to create an environment where you are comfortable with and other people are comfortable with you? I'll give you an example. Opportunities pop up where companies from country X or country Y would come to you and say, work with me. And I might not be comfortable working with that country. I would lose an opportunity because I have the first movers benefit because they're coming to me first. But I'm thinking, you know what? This is the type of business, or this is the type of company, this is the type of product I'm not happy with. I'll give you a case, again, a very live case in point. So tomorrow, a company that works in ammunition comes to me and says, you know what? I want to partner with you. In itself, a company that manufactures firearms. It's not bad, especially if it's a defense contractor for country X. But for me, I know if I'm going to purchase this, which if it's not in the defense of my country, and I am a supplier for this to somebody else, the third party, I might not be happy with what it and might end up being used for. So the question is, what's more important? Making money by being the middleman and being the trader, or saying, you know what? No, I'm not willing to participate in this type of business. It's very hard because you're thinking, I've lost an opportunity. But the question is, do you mind losing the opportunity and being able to go to sleep? Or do you want to take the opportunity and then think about it later and think, oh, is this something I'm not happy with, I'm not content with? Everyone has a different opinion in terms of things. If tomorrow, a lucrative business is the alcohol business, that goes against my morality.
Yeah.
The profit margins in alcohol is huge. Would I supply it? So if tomorrow a company X or company Y who is in this industry came to me and said, please be our representative, would I accept it? So for me, the question is, what's more important, my integrity or the finance? And I've reached the point, again, but this comes back to me personally, integrity, reputation, morality is much more important than finance.
So let's take it a bit deeper in the mindset of a value aligner. So one who wants to align his life to his values. When this struggle comes, and yes, he has to decide whether to take A or B, and one is with his values and the other is against, but there is a big motive to take the other one. How can someone put together, let's say, a thought process that can allow him to tackle this type of scenario in a very successful manner?
I can't speak on behalf of different people because this is a moral judgment, and moral judgments are usually very subjective because you have to accept internally whether you are ready to do this, whatever this is, or not. You need to be able to do this internally. This is a personal struggle that a person will. And by the way, this would apply only to the person in charge of something. If you are an employee of someone, then the choice becomes much more black and white, as in, do I want to work here or not?
Yeah.
Okay, that is a different case. But as if you're talking about an owner or a CEO of a company, example, the question is what am I happy to do? At no point. If you wanted to look at this, this is a thought process. You're on your deathbed, and you're looking back at what you've done. Is that extra 10 million, 100 million going to make you that much more better and happier? Or the fact that you took a stand on something that you felt very strongly about? Which one do you think is going to be a more significant thought process in your head? And if I made that extra 100,000, 100 million, whatever, the number becomes insignificant. But then I feel that I have poisoned my children.
Yeah.
Which one is going to bother me more? The fact that I've given them more money, or the fact that I've given them more money for something I'm not comfortable with? Yeah. This is an issue. Again, nobody is going to live forever. We're all going to die at one point. And if we're lucky, we die old and we have a chance to reflect on what we've done. And when we do that, the question is, what am I happy and what am I content with and what am I happy to pass on? If it's something I'm not happy to pass on, then why did I do it in the first place?
So remembrance of death is a big filter for many of those issues.
Well, again, I can't speak on behalf of other people, but for me, it's always, when I think in terms of legacy, because everyone thinks in terms of legacy. Some people think in legacy in terms of having big buildings and large statues saying, oh, I did this. Right? I don't. For me, legacy is, what am I leaving behind that people will benefit from?
Yeah.
If I'm leaving something positive for them, then I've done a good job. in my head.
Yeah.
If I've left them a lot of money and it's useless, then I've done a bad job. If I give my children an education and then tell them, utilize this education and live your life, I find that better than saying, here's a lot of money and no education with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But each person has a different value. Each person has a different value system. Some people are happy to say, no, I'd rather give you a lot of money and, what do you call it, and you just follow exactly what I do, rather than saying, I give you an education and go and try to live your life.
So this takes us to the next one. Would you mind sharing Mishal's values or value system, let's say?
It's an incredibly simple thing. The most important book for me of where I derive my values comes from this book, and my values as a person comes from this person, historical person, and then my active value comes from another person. And they're three different. The book that I derive my values from, the overall arch, is from the Quran.
Yes.
The person I derive my thought process and actions in terms of the grandeur picture is from Rasul the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And the person who I take my daily interaction in terms of business, for me, is my father.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to say this works for everyone. No, each person has his own, what you call it. But the question is why? And it comes down to a very simple concept. It's justice and care. If you look throughout the Quran, it constantly is talking about justice.
Yeah.
If you look at the life of Rasul, it is approaching justice, but it's with care.
Yeah.
So here are the rules, but if I can make your life better, I will forgive the rules or give an exception to the rules because it's of the betterment of everything. And the last one is my father, because I saw him in terms of how he interacts with people. And for him, it was very simple. He said, and he used to tell me, if you get an invitation from a sheikh or from a sweeper, go to both. Because if either of them, actually the one, the janitor or the sweeper, go to his more than go to the sheikh's. And he's, why? As the person asks why, it's because the one who asks you from a lower level, for him, you're significant. But for someone who is in a more social, economical, higher position than you, you're an extra. Yeah. You're an add-on. Which is not bad. I'm not saying either it's good or bad. I'm just saying that this person, for the fact that you go to him, you're the center of everything he's doing. Yeah. And the other one, you're there. Yeah. But you're not the center.
Yeah. So let's take it to a survey that I have done, and the survey was done to around 200 people, and I was asking them different questions on their challenges, their fears, their goals. I mean, I found that most millennials in today's world have two big issues from the survey. One of them was time management, and the other was financial stability. And those two, I think, are very highly managed in Mishal's life, because Mishal is a very successful entrepreneur. He's a chairman of a big group in different industries. And I can see that you are also committed to your family, because you're leaving from here to one of your family members. So I would like you to give some quick tips for our audience, the millennials especially, on how can they manage the time from one end and the money from the other end.
As you grow in age, there are different time management. When you are young, you have a lot of time on your hand, and you have a lot of energy, so you can basically try to pack as much as you can. You have less commitments because usually most in the 20s are not married. So you have more of the time for yourself, your friends, etc. And you have time to focus on your business.
Yeah.
So do that. And as you grow into a younger family, you can balance the two. But as the family grows older and needs more of your attention, that's when you should be focusing less on the business aspect and more on the family aspect. And the reason is because at the end of the day, remember, again, goes back to the issue of, and I know this might sound morbid, but this goes back to the issue of death. But who's going to cry over you? Your business or your family?
Your family.
So who should I be focusing more on? My business or my family? I'm not saying forget the business. No, but hopefully by that time you have a business that's functioning and can work with or without you. Yeah. And you can hire professional managers, you can have other people coming on board, and you can have this machine continue. But these people who are significant in your life, whether it's your wife, whether it's your mother, whether it's your father, whether it's your siblings, whether it's your children, these people need your attention because at the end of the day, they're you. You are them and they are you. And how could you not give them the time and attention? Now, I'm not saying it's easy because everyone wants something at some time. Yeah. But you need to say, okay, which is more important? For me, my family is significant to me. Being around my family at this point, because I have a company that is functioning, I have ventures that are functioning. Some are doing fantastic, some are doing good, some are doing great. It depends, some are not doing so great. If one needs my attention specifically then yes, I put things on pause, focus on this one, try to fix it. If it's fixable, fix it. If it starts to generate its own momentum, bring in people to take over, and then go back to, again, what's more important for me, which is my family. Mm-hmm. It always will, and in my head, it always will be my family. As I said, you're never going to cry over $1 million or $2 million. Yeah. It's not going to matter. When you're sitting on a deathbed, you're not going to cry, oh, you know what, I missed out on making that extra 10 million. However, you will cry over the fact that, you know what, I missed taking my child when he or she was 5 or 6 to play football or to watch a movie.
Yes.
So we forget this. Millennials don't need to focus on this now. Yeah. They need to focus on trying to build up whatever they want to build up now, because they have the most time on their hand and they have the most energy. Yeah. So focus on that. But over time, realize that as you change in life, what things that are important in your life will shift with that. I'm pretty sure in 20 years, inshallah, if I live that long, in 20 years, my focus will be a lot more on social issues, on communal issues, and less on business. Yeah. Because as I said, nobody is going to cry over missing out on buying that new pant or that new car. Yeah. But you are going to miss out on helping others. And this is, for me, key. We don't help one another. I don't need to make that extra more money. I really don't. Yeah. But what I do need is to make money to be able to help others.
Yes.
This is important. My banker is a nice guy. Yeah. But I don't need him to be necessarily that much more happier. Yeah. But everyone else around, those whose family is in need, those whose child, needs something, those who need help for schooling, those who need help to pay off a debt, those who need. What's the purpose of money if you don't utilize it for the betterment of humanity? Yeah. At the end of the day, and even if you assume, I'm going to take this as as an assumption. Even if you assume there is no heaven and hell and there's no judgment. Yeah. Even if you assume that aside, it's part of this human family. Yeah. Either I add to the benefit of humanity, or I subtract from it. Yeah. And I'd rather add to it.
Excellent. So, and this will be the end of our session. I mean, if someone was going through, let's say, a financial trial, let's say, or this guy have taken a sting of life from the finance side. For future, how would you advise that person to manage his funds? I mean, he has an income and he has a small family, maybe, let's say, but he's unsure how to utilize or best utilize the means of funds and income that he has in a way that will give its best impact for his time and family now, and also for his future.
There are two aspects to this one. The best way to approach this, first, is to start early. That's the first one, which most people don't. Because everyone thinks, I'll do this tomorrow. Might not be tomorrow. Might be too late. Start early. If you have a job, this is just a recommendation. If you have a job, first take out of your salary all your costs. My telephone cost, my car cost, my house, whatever. Take those costs out and put that aside. Because these are expenses that have to be paid no matter what. So put that aside. What's left of my salary? You then have I would say you have two sections. One, you put in as a savings/investment, whatever the case may be. Then you have what's left. That is your quote unquote your discretionary income. That's you want to go to a restaurant. You want to buy something for yourself. You want to buy something as a gift. You then know exactly how much I can spend. It's very hard to put a budget in your mind. It's really, really very hard. Oh, by the way, I'd also include in your expenses. I would suggest to include in your expenses to put aside a certain amount of money to pay goodwill. Charity, philanthropy, whatever you want to call it, help others. You never know when that money will come back to help you. We don't think of especially when we're young, we don't think along those lines. But this is my suggestion to start with. Now, of the sliver that you are going to put in savings/investing, the balance between saving and investment. If you want a happy, content life, you can find a nice savings. Again, depending on who you are, Sharia compliant, not Sharia compliant, I give that to you. But you can find a nice savings. It'll be boring, but over time, it'll be safe for you. But it'll never be something spectacular. If you take that same amount and you invest it in more speculative things. It could be speculative. But again, depending on how much your stomach, you can stomach, because a lot of people can't take it. It might be spectacular in terms of upside, but it could also be spectacular in terms of downside. And the last advice, and I'm telling you this from the bottom of my heart, if you can avoid debt, avoid it. Do not take that. You think it's a small thing. It's like a snowball. Eventually, it starts adding and adding and adding and starts to eat up everything. Don't do it. If you can avoid it, if you don't want it, if you don't need it, don't. And if it means giving up on an opportunity, depends on how you are comfortable with. Some people have a very strong stomach and are willing to take on more debt just for an opportunity. It might work and it pays out beautifully. And if that works out, more power to you. But if it doesn't, it means not only have you lost your capital, but you've lost your capital and you also owe. So be careful in terms of what you do. So you have three methods in terms of that investment/savings. The safe, boring, but secure, regular, payments into sukuk or something along those lines, or bonds. And over time, it will end up being a nice nest egg. Two, you can blend a bit by doing the savings and then take a bit of an adventure in some investments. Or three, you can take it go all the way and try every adventure, including adding debt. It might pay off, it might not. But the key in all of this is time. Mathematically, if you look at time, things increase exponentially. It's not linear. So the more you start off early, the likely that you build a higher and bigger nest egg, if you want. The earlier you start, the bigger it is. The later you start, the smaller it is. So that's why I'm encouraging people, if they're going to start, if they're going to get into things, you get a salary, you have a job, you get a salary, put aside what you call the amount of money for savings / investment, and let that one be your nest egg for the future. But again, each person is different. Each person has a different mentality. And a lot of people, sadly to say, when we're in the 20s, we think we're going to live forever. It's only when you have a family and you grow older and you wake up one day and you look in the mirror and you're looking at this old person and you're going, who's he? And then you go, too late.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mishal. It has been great time with you. And I hope that you will always be a benefit for all of us. Millennials and even above and beyond the millennials. And it has been a great session with great gems that you have shared with us.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, everyone. Mr. Mishal has been hosted today, and he has shared with us some great insights on investment, on time management, and on values. If you want to follow Mr. Mishal, he's on LinkedIn, and he shares his gems over there as well. Thank you very much.